Well, you couldn't make a recruiting video for Oklahoma if you didn't talk about the five-star recruiting defensive line drama that just comes with any recruiting cycle. And the Oklahoma Sooners, while we feel like they have been positioned for two five-star defensive linemen pretty well, I saw a lot of your guys' reactions on Twitter to just specific things that were going on. And it's something that we got to talk about and talk about what the impact could be for the University of Oklahoma. But, guys, before we do that, I want to hear from you. So go ahead and jump down in the comments below and let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Oklahoma is coming off the heels of a 2025 defensive line commit of Kamori Moore, but it's also coming off the news of a five-star defensive lineman not visiting Oklahoma and another one causing up some drama on the Twitterverse. All right, is it Twitterverse or I don't know what we call it. So we're just going to continue to call it Twitterverse. But here's the deal, guys. Yesterday, we're going to start with probably the news that I think that shook Sooner Nation the most, which was the fact that a lot of y'all on social media and on the Twitters and everywhere else were freaking out because Williams Nwaneri supposedly isn't coming to campus. Um, I mean, is it really that big of a concern? Williams Nwaneri's been to Oklahoma quite a bit, so I'm not sure if him not coming to campus for whatever dates he was supposed to be here is really that big of a deal. I know a lot of people want to freak out because you guys have seen the David Hicks thing. You guys have lived through what that drew up for Oklahoma, but I don't feel like there's really a cause of concern yet for Williams Nwaneri to potentially end up somewhere else. But then later that day, Oklahoma got a commit from Williams Nwaneri's teammate, Kamori Moore. And this is why I think people really need to stop freaking out. Oklahoma has a pipeline with Lee Summit North. And right now, they're in the driver's seat, it feels like, for Isaiah Mosey, the 2025 wide receiver, who is Jamar Mosey's son, who is an OU legacy guy. You just got the commitment from Kamori Moore, who's his teammate on that defensive line. And then you also have Caden Green, who's currently on this team and, has some hand in recruiting Williams Nwaneri to the university. I feel like it would be really hard for Williams Nwaneri to say no to a situation where you have a teammate in Caden Green, you have two teammates in 2025 that would likely, hopefully, be committed, Kamori Moore and Isaiah Mosey. Isaiah Mosey's not committed yet. He hasn't made a decision. I'm just kind of going on the assumption that he's going to pick Oklahoma because it seems like that relationship there is really strong. I feel like for Williams Nwaneri, it would be really hard for him to say no to wanting to come play here, especially with the relationships that we have all heard that he has with Miguel Chavis and Todd Bates. So, yeah, I saw everything that you guys put out there on Twitter. I saw everybody freaking out on the message board. And you know what? I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think really we just need to calm down a little bit and we need to just realize that Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis have this thing going in the right direction. Now, secondary, we need to talk about David Stone because there was a little bit of back and forth on the Twitters. That's what I'm going to call it. We're just going to call it the Twitter since we don't exactly know what we're supposed to call it nowadays. Technically, it's still twitter.com. David Stone had some very interesting comments last night. And it really kind of centered around him having an announcement today. What is that announcement? I have no idea. But you saw some back and forth between him and Caden Durham. Caden Durham saying, if you announce, I will announce. And Oklahoma fans, where all of a sudden everybody was so down about Williams Nwaneri not coming to campus, all of a sudden that tune really changed when David Stone started interacting with Caden Durham and people on Twitter. You've seen him on YouTube videos, whether it's 247 Sports for the commitment announcement of Jaden Jackson. And here's the deal. Yes, if Oklahoma lands David Stone, if they land Williams Nwaneri, you get Nigel Smith, you get Zena Yumio Azulu, who is a guy that I really think Oklahoma can land. I've been on that train. We're going to stay on that train. And then you get a guy like Danny Okoye later in the season. Yeah, like Oklahoma in 1 to 2 years has probably one of the most prolific defensive lines in the entire country. And David Stone definitely has the opportunity to be the driving factor, the driving force to make that defensive line better and really get, I think more elite talent to Oklahoma, because I think it's not just 2024 that David Stone can have that effect. I think David Stone can have that effect in 2025 and 2026 for OU. And there are other targets that Oklahoma is looking at on that defensive line. And, we already saw the commitment come down for Kamori Moore, but I think you could see other commitments in 2025 happen a lot quicker because maybe a kid that thinks, hey, I really like Oklahoma. I don't want to miss out on that spot. They're going to do everything they can to make sure they don't. And a lot of that might be a commitment. And, I'm pointing at a couple guys, like maybe one of them, Xavier Ukponu, a guy that has played down at Denton Geyer with Peyton Bowen, potentially but we know he's an OU target, Eli Bowen. You also have teammates with Jackson Arnold, like maybe Xavier Ukponu wants to play at Oklahoma, right? And he sees the writing on the wall and says, I need to get there as quick as possible. You look at some of the other targets in the 2025 class. You got on the edge, CJ Nixon, Jaden Woods, Alexander Shieldknight, all guys that I think Oklahoma could go out there and land if they wanted to. Ethan Utley on the interior. David Stone, if he commits to the University of Oklahoma, like a lot of you think and a lot of you believe, yes, he has that power. He has that influence to be able to start swaying kids to want to come play for Brent Venables, Todd Bates, and this defense. Because, like I've said before, you get a 5-star defensive lineman to the University of Oklahoma, something you really haven't done all that often or really as of recently. And all of a sudden, it changes narratives and it makes kids turn their heads and ask the question, what's going on there? Do I want to be a part of it? Do I want to be a part of rebuilding a blue blood program back to where it was at one point? And I think that's kind of where we're at now. We are rebuilding this program back to greatness, back to the point where they're suffocating on the defensive side of the ball. They've kind of been like that on offense. They just haven't had the complementary piece of defense. So, guys, I really want to hear from you because I know yesterday there was a lot of drama going on just around people not showing up, people announcing specific things on Twitter. And then, of course, you had the commitment announcements. And I know we're going to have more here in the coming days. So, Sooner Nation is definitely going to be excited because there's just so much going on. But, guys, I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts. So, go ahead and jump down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys are thinking around just the recent commitment of Kamari Moore, the tweet from David Stone, or even Williams Nwaneri not showing up to campus. Because, like I said, I know a lot of you guys were a little bit heated about that one on Twitter. But remember, I think it's going to be okay. I think Oklahoma is in a really good spot.